everybody! Welcome to the stream. It is me, Neon Moon. And how are you, my little moon mates? I hope you are all doing fantastic. I know I'm doing well. I just want to do like a kind of chill stream to start off this silly little push to affiliate because, well, I think it's gonna happen soon. I think I can do it. Hopefully, Twitch decides to play nice. I did look into all my like connection issues or whatever was causing Twitch to like just suddenly end my streams. Well, it might be my internet. It might be my computer. Who knows? I mean, probably I'm streaming is that's not the whole reason, but I do want to get a separate computer just for streaming. The one I'm using now can just be used for homework and school shit. Anyways, let us get started. This is just like a nice game to start out with. So, we will get started, shall we? As you can see, I already played it a little bit. Not too much. What? A VTuber trying out a game just to see the specs line up with their PC? Unheard of. Anyways, let's try again. As you can see, I didn't really get too far. But yeah, let's get started. 2, 1, yeet! I'm pretty good at this game, I will say. I mean, obviously it'd be good about how good you are at a game. Yay, Callie! Like, you good about how good you are at a game, like on stream, you instantly just fucking jinx yourself. Like how there's Monopoly too. That's fucking funny. Always get the free recharge. That's my secret. That is my secret. Hopefully I can get like a hang glider. Not get bonked by Bay. That would not be... That's not what I want in this lifetime. I like this cute owl. Let's see. I'm gonna get double soda. Like I just bonked Crony right in the face. And look how... Listen, I am part of the Crony is Perfect gang. Excuse me. Boing. Maybe Callie can help me? Yeah, Callie! Doesn't work if touched Bay. I gotta admit, it's like... Okay, won't mention it just yet in case you haven't. Like, this fucking Monopoly is fucking hilarious to me. Just, God. A Whole Life Phantom is just definitely something that special, and I love it. Crony. I think it's a little laggy. Probably, again, this is why I need to get, like, a separate computer for streaming. Look, he kinda sucks. Yeah, they make it a little more, they made it a little more, dramatic. Oh, this is what I got, this is before the update. Anyways, let's try again. I do kind of want to talk about, this whole affiliate thing, because I'm pretty excited for it. Like, I am getting close to affiliate. I may have like 20 more followers to go before I've reached affiliate, which is super exciting. Oh, I still have Mume. Sorry, Moomers. Love you. Listen, I'm a Mume fan. Mume is kind of my Oshi. Look at this silly little owl. He's so cute. Yeah, I'm getting close to being. Every time I start talking, I get distracted by Mume. I like how I put a banana on her now. Like, banana costume Iris. Let's fucking go. I don't think this is gonna be too long. Okay, my goal is for all these streams to be at least 2 hours. Like, I feel like that's a good length for a stream. Like, it's kind of manageable for people to watch, you know, people can put it on in the background. You know, it's not too much. Oh, that hit? Or does Corny just have a really big hitbox? Hitbox as big as her boobs. Oh god. I'm gonna regret that one at some point. Or, I hope not. Wait. Hell yeah, jetpack. Look at Iris Airlines, bitch. Macaroni power. Look at this woman's face. I fucking love you, Crony. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna be affiliate sooner rather than later, so I'm gonna try to stream for every day, like 2 hours every day until I have reached affiliate. That's the goal right now. That's the goal. I will try to find things for us to do. Of course, I will still be like doing like silly weekly little things like a Wikipedia Wednesday and all that. Just because those are, I feel like those are fun. Those are fun. I don't know what the 0 means now. Is Mume gonna kill me? I mean, it's Mume. She might. Listen, she's adorable, but she's also kind of scary sometimes. But this is a really good run. This is a really good run. Watch it like be her like scary face drawing or whatever. Like classic scary Mume. Okay, we raised the countdown just a little bit. We won't have to face the wrath of. Okay, we still might have to face the wrath of civilization, as I'm going to call it. Oh. Fuck. No! It is her face! What the fuck? She just yeeted me. Oh. Okay. That was actually good. I wasn't expecting it to be good, okay? I really did not. That was impressive, Renee. For a small little burb. To throw her favorite Nephilim just that much. Now we've improved Tony needs yeeting power. The power of time. That's what I'm calling it now. God. Oh. Oh. Yay, Callie got us. Oh, damn it. That one was so good too. Alright. See, like, I'm not trying to make it, like, break any records here or anything like that. I'm just having fun. You know, like, this might just be me, but I really don't understand competitive people. Like, maybe it's because I've never ever played like League or like, like the most competitive game I ever played was Overwatch. And that wasn't. I didn't play Overwatch for too long. Like, I'm not a competitive person. Like I do have like moments where I can be a bit competitive. Barely missed that rat. Anyways, yeah, like I can be competitive, but it's rare. It's rare that I'm competitive. Oh, the way Callie says eat. I know it's really stupid. Barely missed that rat. Come on. Yay! Look black. He's so cute. Everyone in Hall is cute. Lola. Yay! Barely missed Bay. But yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do. I do want to do as much as I can with a Vetober for the time I have left. Like, you know, that's not too much time, but it's worth a try, right? It is worth a try. Oh, this is not ending well. Okay, we got our asses over there. Lumei, thank you for the help, sweetheart. Thank you for the help. Yay, Coney. Oh, fuck. Damn it, Bay. This is fun. Oh, that was a strong yeet. It'd be funny, like, if you got high enough, like, Sana responded or something, like, here, mate. It's like, Sana being the wholesome. This might sound like copium mixed with missing Sana, which, okay, facts, but, it would be funny if, like, Sana had some sort of role here. If we went high up enough, like. Maybe if, like, she said something kinda, like, sassy, like the typical roast Sana. We've come to love from space at its weirdest. Just saying calling this space is fucking weird, mate. And now here I am saying mate. God damn it. All life has truly corrupted me, and I don't know if it's for the best. Let's see. Fuck. Ah, damn it, Bay. Okay. This one is promising. Okay, this is promising. This is promising, guys. This is promising. Oh, nice. Holy shiitake. That's cute. Like, I call like you know, like when different VTubers like have their different words, like it says holy shiitake or whatever. I call them like that's an Irish ism or like bruh. Said a certain way is a bay ism. Hooray! You know, like It's just like, no, that just makes sense. Oh God, I'm 6. I am high. Look at me. He really do be soaring. Oh, so close to a more Mume goodness. Okay, let's get that free soda in.
Bananas. Sweet, sweet to nectar.
He's so cute. Okay, we're actually doing pretty well here. Oh, Monopoly. The first one is the greatest. But at least we got Callie, right? Callie's on our side. It's always good to have the Reaper on your side, you know? Maybe help you cheat death just a little bit. Small yeet. It's like, listen, I'm not even an affiliate yet. I'm barely affiliate. I'm getting close, but like, if I had to, if I could, like, collab with any Hololive member of my choosing, it'd probably be Mume. I think we'd really get along. Oh, let's get the rat blocker, because it looks like we're gonna be ratted very shortly here. Yep, here she is. There's the rat. There's a rat. There's a rat in the kitchen. Oh, so close. Damn it. Just like this cute face. Alright. Next time. Freeze a little bit. Almost went right into Mume. Ah, double meatball. Ah. Okay, we're going. This is going great. Oh, there she go into the atmosphere. Let's fucking go. There goes our hope up into the sky. I'm actually getting pretty good at pulling off the cowboy accent. Look out, Callie. There's a new sheriff in town. Like, maybe it's not perfect. But, you know, you gotta give... You gotta give some... I don't know where I'm going with this thing, but you have to... I don't know where I'm going with this, so I'm just gonna stop. Her ears. Right on her little rat ears. Look at these stinky rat ears on her little stinky rat head. God. I'm trying not to get salty over browser game. This is great. Oh. Hope Express, let's go. Holopoly, I love it. This. I remember there was like a Miku version of this, like Hatsune Miku. And then there was, you played Rolling Girl or something. That'd be fucking funny. Like, I know that's a bit cool considering like what the song is about, but that's still funny to me. Maybe I just have a cool sense of humor though. Like, I will admit that I think I do have a bit of a fucked up sense of humor. Oh man, I thought I would got a Callie there. There. Yeah, she got us. Hey, I'm doing pretty well. Oh, almost hit Bay right after saying that. I almost jinxed myself. Jesus Christ. Oh. We were safe from Bay for a while. You know, I probably just fucking jinxed myself. I was close. Ah! Damn it. There it is. There's my karma. There's my karma right there hitting me on the ass. Alright. Good one. Good yeet. Ah. Good yeet, bad RNG. It do be like that. Good yeet, bad gotcha. It's just like that. It is just like that some days. Yeah. Yep. Boing. More boing. Alright. Let's get that piece soda right there. Oh, fuck. I got ratted again! Oh, that was a sad yeet. See, I'm impatient. I can't wait for things like that. Bouncy. Bouncerous. Okay, bouncerous or boinrous? Actually, boinrous sounds... Damn it. That sounds like something I shouldn't be saying. And I feel like I've already begun my like traditional like VTuber descent into like Unsay So. Like I feel like every VTuber ever has like becoming Unsay So arc. It's just part of the tradition of being a VTuber at this point. Like it's just part of the VTuber lifestyle. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I am going to say there. Come on, Coney. Oh, that was a little sad. Come on, come on, Callie. Yeah. Oh, not enough to escape the clutches of the rat. Okay, let's keep going. I'm gonna try to get past my ult score. That might be a little bit full. Hell yeah. Oh, don't get me. It's freezing on me, damn it. Whoa, what the hell just happened? Whoa, where am I going? Iris, what have I done to you? How hard did I yeet you, Iris? Okay, we're almost down to a Mume. If you know, you know. I feel like we all know at this point. You all right here, right? I mean, I hope you do. I mean, if you don't, I might not be the VTuber for you because I love Hololive. I'm not saying what. I feel like it's hard to say if I'm not, like, whether or not I was inspired by Hololive. Like, I feel like I was in the beginning. It's like, hey, this is a thing that exists and looks fun, and I want to try doing it. But now it's like one of my bigger inspirations right now is Haruka. Haruka Kara is like, she's cool. I would love to collab with her at some point, but I'm too fucking shy to reach out, so it's probably not gonna happen. Unless, like, she by some miracle sees this, says, hey, you're looking pretty cool, wanna hang out? Which I doubt will ever happen. I want to collab, so I do. And I should probably start with, like, smaller projects. Oh, barely. Like, I should probably start with like, people size, but that's still scary. Yeah, we got this. Oh, we got this right into Bay. That was a bad one. Let's see. Okay. Okay, this is a good one. Almost jinxed it already. God. I need to start up saying that this is a good one. Oh, no, this one is terrible and awful. It's the worst one yet. Yoink. Alright, let's try that one again. Oh, sorry, I got distracted. Let's keep going. Okay. Alright, let's see if the owl can help us. Good little owl. Cute little hoot. I mean, I think this game is still under development, so it is possible we're going to see at least the rest of EN. I'd definitely like to see the rest of Council in here. Include Sana, obviously. Sana's still a part of Council. Oh, that was close. Oh, is that an episode of Mr. Rat? Why, yes it is. Thank you, Mume. That little owl. Good little owl girl. Bounce power. Let's keep banking on that for a little bit. Okay. Okay. This is looking good. I was going to say never mind, but missed the rat. Okay. I mean, this is kind of enrolling girls later. Barely. This one's been a little bit rough. Like more than a little bit rough. Okay. Alright, alright. Oh. The fucking Iris crying sound though, that's fucking hilarious. The Iris so salty sound. We do love Iris. Hell yeah. We do love Iris as being salty AF. Like I already adore Iris, but man, I think just the Hollow Salt in general is just fucking hilarious. I don't know why, I just like seeing people be salty fuckers. I mean, I'm getting kind of in that salty copium stage right now, like in the stream already, even though it hasn't been that long. Let's meatball. Mamma mia, that's his face. Meatball, sorry. Right. Okay, we are doing good. Like, I don't wanna jinx it, because I've had a bad habit of jinxing myself this entire stream. Which, by the way, it's only been 7 minutes. 37. God damn it. Well, y'all know what I mean. Okay, let's not miss Dr. Oopsie. Okay. Oh, we missed Roni though. Oh, we missed Mume. I almost called Mume a rat. I'm so sorry, Mume. You are not a rat. You are an owl. And owls eat rats and look cute. And I guess rats are cute too, but not when they're trying to kill you. I don't know where this is going. Great. I also want to try out playing Hollow Cure at some point. I think that might be my next Hollow game. Like, maybe I should like have like a day of the month or something that's just kind of dedicated to playing Hollow Life fan games or something. You know, like I know I've played Idol Manager with the Hollow Girls on it. But you know, just kind of in general. Whoa! Nice yeet. That wasn't even an intentional one. Damn. Oh. Load. No. No. Don't hit Bay. Damn it, we hit Bay. We got so good that time. Okay, this time will be the one. Alright. Alright. That's a good start. That's a good start. Yeah. Alright, I'm already getting into copium territory. This is fantastic. I mean, I don't do copium. Don't do drugs, kid. Copium is one of the deadliest drugs out there, man. Have you not seen Maggie Desmond? He created copium, but look at the side effects. At what cost? Not worth it to be salty. Never is. Oh, missed that little owl. after this one, I might take a quick break to quick little break to grab some water or something. Cause I am thirsty. I'm drinking mainly coffee today, and I kind of feel a little bad about that. Fucking Iris salt. He's so cute. Well, let's get an extra charge.
Banana skill.
Lily makes the cutest little noises, I swear. She's kind of scary. A little bit intense sometimes. But damn, I don't adore her. No! Right into the rat! Anyways, like I said, I'm gonna go get some water real quick. Hold on. No. I should probably mute first. Hold on. Alright, I'm back. Let's get back to it. Some water. And another jacket because it's kind of cold tonight. Alright. Do you want to eat? Okay, it was the best eat ever. Oh, God, we are going. This is already looking pretty good. Not again, not to jinx myself. That was close. I almost hit Bay. Jesus, that was too close for comfort. Bonk. Always get this. Oh no, not the meatball. Oh, well, I think Coney got us. Almost. Yay. Girls on Kelly just like looking so smug against the free sign, like, God. You're so cool. Right. This is good. This is looking good. Almost missed that. Almost got that meatball. Alright. This is going good. Oh. Right in the meatball. Oh. Woohoo! Heck yeah, we got it. We got this. Oh. Oh, fuck. Let's see if we can balance. Rely on the power of the balance. Rely on the power of the boing boing. Ah yes, the mighty power of the boing. Oh shit. Okay. Okay, we're safe, we're safe. Come on, Crony, save us. Yay! Save by Hands of Time. Hell yeah. Alright. Heck yeah. This is looking good. Okay. Yeah, this is looking good. This is going good. Okay. Let's get a free soda. Okay, this is going well. Oh, almost got a no, almost got Mume. Okay, we got this. We're gonna be alright. We're gonna be alright. god, the jump scare. The jump scare of for that one art piece. It kind of gets me. Like it's kind of scary, yo. Almost got me. Damn. This is a really good one. We got some really good. Jesus Christ. We were in the 90s there. Damn. On her way to meet Sana. Damn. Maybe it's just scary because it's kind of late at night. I think it's like 2 a.m. here. I'm trying to keep a good eye on the time because we gotta get up for school in the morning. Banana. Let's bounce. Okay, I think. Oh, we're really close to passing my old record. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end it after I once I have my old record passed. If I do manage that. Okay. No, so close. I guess the game didn't want me to end stream yet. She just threw her to Mume. Barely missed. Good. More horizontal power. Oh yeah. So close to so far. Okay. Okay. We got this this time. I am getting competitive, aren't I? I think so. Hey, Useless, how are you? How are you today? I think I'm winning. Let's do extend, because I am on the jetpack. Hell yeah. Right to Cali. Okay, this is going extremely well right now. But again, watch me. As soon as I fucking said that, no, oh, Useless. No, I am not fucking winning. If you cannot. God, that was a bad one. That was a bad one. I'm so sorry you had to see that. I'm sorry. It's just been these three at the beginning for every single one for like the past few rounds. Okay. uh, uh, let me just have a swig of my copium here, okay? That's some good tasting copium. Goddamn. This is going very wrong right now. Okay. Oh, I just bounced over that. Holy shit. This is going... Okay. God bless, Callie. God bless. Okay. Okay, this is... Maybe my copium is paying off. Maybe it's paying off for once. Can you imagine that? Copium actually working on stream for once. Oh. And they say copium doesn't pay off. I don't know about you, but this copium's working. I don't know what they put in it, but it's working. Oh, fuck. I need to just shut the fuck up, I think. Jesus Christ. This is going bad. Yeah. In order for me to end stream, beat this. I'm nowhere near. I just had one good round, and then everything else has been pretty rough. Jeez. Oh. Look how big the stand and everyone else is like just a cute little chibi. Look how cute that Mume is. Look how cute that Mume is. Let's extend fly because I am flying. Heck yeah. Got by the coaster. Oh. Damn. Okay, I probably would have done me good there. Oh. Damn it. I feel like income tax. I feel like that should be changed to senpai tax. The closest thing we have to enacting is senpai tax. This game is just being yeeted by Callie. Oh. Okay, hopefully it's gonna be a good one. I think I can feel it, but I don't want to trust that feeling in case it's not actually there. Okay. Oh. Woo! Hopin Express, let's go. Oh, that was cool. That was too close. That was too close. All right. Let's get that extra charge slot in there. Okay. Okay, this is looking better already. Again, I think I'm a little too traumatized from the last few rounds of Copium. Truly trust us. Oh. So close. Okay. Oh, that was so close. That was so close. Okay. Okay. I think we may got us. Okay. I'm putting on the rat blocker. I do not trust this game right now. I do not trust this game right now. Ooh, nice. That was close. That was close. Heck yeah. Okay, we're doing well. We're doing well right now. Okay. I wanted to say I think this one's gonna be the one, but I really don't want to jinx it. Oh, I blocked her anyways. I avoided Bay out of not out of fight, but out of reflex, or maybe a little bit of spite. You never know. You never know when there's. Actually, I feel like you do know when there's spite. Like you can tell when someone does some just bullshit out of spite and just being a petty hoe. Well, I probably shouldn't say hoe, but you know what I mean. Fuck. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Mume, help me. Mume. Okay. Okay, that was close. That was close. Yay, Callie. Okay, let's get that banana. Yeet. Okay. Yeah, Callie got us. Okay, this is looking better. This is looking better by the moment. Okay, Mume. Back to the Mume drawing jump scare, but alright, let's do extra flight here. Okay, more Mume. More Mume is always good. Mume is cute. Oh, so close. That was so close. Oh. Bounce. We are getting a lot of Mume right now. Not that I have any. Not that I'm gonna. That was too fucking close. Holy shit. Okay, we are doing well. Okay. Yeah, we're doing real good. Okay, let's get that other extra charge slot in there. Now we're looking like real Chads. Now we are looking like true, real, live Chads. Oh yeah. We got this. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Kelly, let's go. Okay, I think this one might actually be the one. Holy shit. Like, again, I don't want to jinx it, but this is looking promising. Like, one more promising by a second. Okay. Oh. Oh. Did I speak too soon? Did I speak too soon? Got meatballed. Right around getting meatballed and blue balled. Ayo. Oh, oh. Oh, I had the rat blocker. That's right. This is going great. Oh. I'm having like a million heart attacks over this one game. This is kind of stupid. Alright, Crony. Crony having our ass as always. Oh. Oh, fuck. Oh, that was so close. I jinxed it again. Why do you guys let me say I'm doing well at this game? Nearly like 1,000 away. Damn it. This is gonna turn into an endurance stream, isn't it? Which I cannot afford to do an endurance stream right now. Alright. Shitty, man. At least we got Callie. Heck yeah, read. Let's go. That's a great way to start this one. Charge slot in here. Oh, almost hit Bay. But seriously, this one is looking real nice. Just keep getting actually, let's get that extra charge slot in there. He made a banana dishonor reference. That's probably looking way too deep into it. There's always a chance. There's always a chance of me jinxing myself in this game, apparently. Okay, we got this. Like, if I don't hit today and actually I can do an endurance on Tuesday because I don't have class that day. I need something to do. So what better way to spend it than huffing copium and trying to be. Yeah. Let's keep bouncing. Bouncing, boing boing. But I am getting better at this. I almost missed it. Almost missed her. Almost missed Le Rat. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is a strong start. Okay. 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 So, free soda. Yay, the mermaid. Verb. It's going. I don't want to say it's going well, because every time I've said it's going well, I've immediately run into Bay. Like, not saying. Like, I feel like out of context that might sound like I hate Bay, but no, that's just specific to this game, or just specific. I always get those words messed up. Like, one's an ocean, one's not. But I still get it mixed up. Because of course I do. Anyways, this is going... Okay, y'all need to punish me every time I say this is going well. Because it could take just a split second and I would be bonking into Bay. Oh, let's get that rat blocker up. Just in case we have a run-in with... Blah, blah, blah. Subaru is not in this game. Yeah. Maybe she will be at some point. That'd be cool. I like Shuba. But you know what I mean. Right. Alright, this is going extremely well. Alright. So much bouncing. Oh, boxing the rat. Oh, but I missed a banana. Oh, that was too close. That was too close. Okay. Okay. It's not the end. We still got more. We still got more stuff we can do. Okay. I'm not huffing copium, guys. I swear I'm not huffing copium.